Okay, you're on.
All right. Good morning. It's Monday, February 22nd, Tufton Borough Board of Selectmen's meeting. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Before we get started, today is George Washington's birthday. So just thought I'd point that out. Been remembered certainly as the indispensable man from his time. Going to open with a public hearing pursuant to RSA 31:95-E. And this hearing is to accept two donations from the Tufton Borough Firefighters Association. Chief?
They're putting on their costumes.
Oh.
We're making noise.
Okay. All right. So the public hearing is now open on acceptance of these donations from the Tufton Borough Firefighters Association.
So as we discussed in the Selectmen's meeting last month, Firefighters Association is looking to donate two items. One would be the rescue unit, which is this unit here that performs the manual CPR on individuals. We've got it set up in this to just give you a quick demonstration of its use. If you were taking someone out in something like this, it would be tough to perform CPR while it was moving. With this particular unit, all you have to do is obviously turn it on. It's performing the CPR. You can continue to go out. Same way if you were on a backboard coming out of a house or any type of extended carryout situation. So the unit basically takes the place of a human being trying to do this, and it does it efficiently as far as it goes. Also, traveling down the road in an ambulance, a lot of times members have to stand up doing CPR. They're not able to seatbelt, and this will also take some of that safety concern away because they can be seatbelted, they can continue with the airway, the IVs, giving medications, whatever they have to do, and this machine is doing that particular function. Obviously, it is a machine. You have to have people to operate it, have to be efficient at operating the machine, but the machine does not get tired. Obviously, you have to make sure that the battery is charged and things like that. It comes with a 3-year warranty as far as that goes, and there is no other expenses that we foresee of having with it besides having to buy the replaceable units that go around and do the squeezing. But the rest of the machine is cleanable and go from there. The pads cost $65 for replaceable, and in today's day and age, everything is replaceable.
So you replace the pads?
The strap, this particular strap that is around the patient, and holds the machine in place. They could get bloody, they could get fluids on them, so they're just replaceable instead of having to clean them as far as it goes. But the rest of the unit is cleanable. This particular battery stays right inside the bag, and obviously is portable to bring everything.
Is that hydraulic
It is more of
or pneumatic?
a pneumatic as
I believe
far
it's a
as.
screw.
Huh?
It's a screw jack type assembly.
So as far as going up and down with the electrical, as far as
Yeah.
the motor that's driving it, and just
Yeah, that,
Okay, so
There's
I
there's
no
believe that's a
fluids.
screw, so it,
oh, okay, all right, so it's not, no fluid in it?
no fluids.
Oh, okay.
And that's a rechargeable battery?
Yes, it charges 24 hours a day on the ambulance. It does have so it doesn't get a memory as far as continuously charging. All of that is built into the particular machine. This whole particular unit is obviously the battery pack, so we don't carry a spare as far as with that. If the unit fails, then you start manual CPR like you normally would, and you can also use this machine. You could leave it in place if you needed to. Just push down on the back, the black section, and it gives you a mark as far as CPR.
So there's no, my recollection, which is ancient, was that there was breathing into the mouth
Yeah.
as well as.
Your people would continue doing
Okay.
breathing as far as it goes for whatever they need to do. This just takes care of the CPR part of the whole thing.
And what's the value of that unit?
This particular unit, the total is $11,258.24. And Kathy, I think that that is there for that. The Stokes basket, as far as with the wheel, obviously is used for carryouts in areas that for mountainous situations, which we have extended carryouts in wooded areas and different rescues. This unit is carbon. It's very light, and the same with the wheel is very light. One person can basically carry both for a short distance, but the longer hikes and things like that, I would suggest obviously two people carrying them. They come in backpacks. The wheel goes in one, and the basket comes apart and goes in the second backpack. And it's much lighter, much non-cumbersome compared to some of the different units that are out there. And it is set up obviously to take one patient out of the woods. It also can be set up for high-angle rescue. It has all the straps that are included for that, and it could be picked up by a helicopter also if need be in that particular case. But so it's pretty
Is that what we're
standard.
getting next?
A helicopter?
Yeah.
That's only $8 million. So.
See how our minds go? You talk about a helicopter, yeah, it's gonna be next year.
Well, we can go skiing up in the Ospreys if we had a helicopter.
Right, there you go.
It's a hike.
This particular unit is $6,334.
And both of these are donated by the Firefighters Association.
That's correct.
Correct?
Yes.
And the Firefighters Association gets their money from where?
From donations from people from the town.
Okay. And once a year, you guys send out a general, a broad appeal to everybody?
Yep.
Right?
It goes out to all of the taxpayers in Tuckerville.
Okay. Do we have any public input?
None.
All right. So I'll entertain a motion to accept these donations.
Well, I'll make a motion that we accept both donations. I'm coming up with a total of $17,592.24.
Looks like what I have as well. And I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief. Thanks, Caleb. Do we have any public input? All right. Hearing none, let's move on to review and approval of minutes. First of the minutes from the February 8th meeting. I only saw one correction, which was in the public input paragraph. Second to the last sentence, I think that's Mr. Hunt asked what happens.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Any other additions or corrections?
So what's the correction?
So,
I put Mr. Gordon instead of Mr.
not
Hunt.
Mr. Gordon, it's Mr. Hunt.
Oh,
So,
okay.
I didn't see anything else.
I'll make a motion that we approve them as corrected.
I'll second. All those in favor? Aye. All right. Next to the meeting minutes, or the, from Friday, February 12th. This was the bond hearing. And I don't have any changes.
I'll move minutes be accepted.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye? Okay. And Chief, if you're ready, we're ready for your report. If not, we'll do other business while you put this stuff away. Up to you. If you want to continue to break that down, that's fine. You ready? Thank you, Chief.
Quick update for February. As of February 22nd, we've done 28 fire calls, 38 medical calls, 10 service calls, and 2 special details for a total of 78. We've done 9 gas burner inspections, 4 oil burner inspections, 1 wood pellet stove inspection, and 7 life safety for a total of 21. All personnel that have wished to have the COVID-19 shots have now had their second shot completed. We have 1 person that is left where he was under the age of 18. He currently could not get the shot. However, the CDC guidelines and the state guidelines have changed, and they've dropped that down to a lower age. And so today he'll be getting his first shot.
Great.
Otherwise, we only have 1 individual that did not want to have the shot out of the whole department. I checked into whether or not the highway department and the transfer station personnel could have their COVID-19 shots, and there's no special exemptions for them at this time. Both Jim Bean and Clay Gallagher had made inquiries for their employees. The new server installation that is being done by Lake Region Computer and Lieutenant Chris Morgan. The server has been changed out, and the server change and the new email service that has been put in place has caused some day-to-day issues with our operations, but it's getting smoothed out as far as the whole thing. Hopefully, once the whole new program is figured out, as far as everything is in place, it will operate smoothly. The engine work for boat one was completed by Melvin Marina, and the boat is back in storage, so that's all set for springtime. Car one was taken to Ed's Auto for brake repairs. This was unexpected failure of the rear brake line. Apparently the emergency brake cable somehow crossed one of the rear brake lines and ran through it.
You know, just as an aside, I guess that's a design deficiency, because my old truck, which was a previous model to that one, had the same thing happen. You know, it's just,
I was happy that it didn't happen during an actual call.
yep.
But we had some other issues that we had found while that was in there, and that has been completed also. So just day-to-day issues as far as brake wise. The fishing derby weekend appeared to be very busy on the lake, but everyone seemed to be safe with their activities. There was no responses as far as airboat or any issues that we went out to as far as lake wise. We did our normal medical calls and fire response.
That was the busiest fishing derby weekend that I remember. I haven't been here as long as you have, but in the last 15 years, I don't remember it being as busy as it was this particular weekend. It was just,
It seemed very busy as far as vehicles, and I've never seen them lined up like that as far as along the roadway and things like that. Not sure if that's because there wasn't a lot of different areas that people could access into. If that's why it made it look, so busy, or what the situation was, but it did seem really busy.
I kind of attribute that to cabin fever. People that, they've been cooped up for too long, and they're interested in doing something.
Yep.
So,
Which is great.
yeah.
However, the weekend of 02/06/21, we responded to 2 separate incidents on the lake for reported snow machines through the ice within hours of each other. All occupants safely made it to safety without any injuries. The boat seemed to be performing well in the particular cases. The department responded mutual aid to Wolfboro for a reported structure fire at 72 Academy Drive at Brewster. That was on Friday, February 19th. Engine 2 and 5 personnel responded and operated at the scene. The ATV with the tracks, rescue sled, along with personnel with Car 1 and Utility 2 responded 2/20/21, mutual aid to Moultonboro for a reported snow machine accident on corridor 15, which goes through the castle in the Clouds property over the mountains into Ossipee. It was later learned that the patient from the snow machine accident had been moved to Marble Road in Ossipee. Units were placed in service by Moultonboro. Weather permitting, February 25th, FD companies will be conducting a drill simulating a snowmobile accident involving another piece of equipment with multiple patients. This will be a night wilderness operation event involving mutual aid departments along with the Wolfboro Snowmobile Club. It will be held behind the transfer station, out on the power lines, but off to the side where it's not going to interfere with the regular snow machines coming through. We will post that a training is taking place so that everyone knows what's going on with that. Do you have anything further?
So you'll need access through the transfer station, or how are you gonna do that?
We'll probably access, it'll be one of a couple things. We probably will access right from the trailhead up on 171,
Okay.
down into
Transformer.
in the transformer.
Exciting.
You have
And
anything?
will that training involve other departments besides us?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll involve Molten Pearl, Wolf Pearl, and Hospital.
Great. Okay, I don't have any other questions. Do you have any other questions?
Thanks for cleaning out my dry hydrant. It's good. I would have done it, but I'm just a lazy old guy.
It went good once I got started. We tried to keep all the dry hydrants open, obviously, as much as possible. I did not have a plow truck for a period of time, so we got that particular one got built up.
You didn't have Lloyd. You generally just pecking away at it.
Right. So we, all the dry hydrants seem to be in pretty good shape so far this year, and hopefully we don't have to use them, but we try to keep them cleaned out, just like a hydrant.
Right.
But you need a little bit more space with the dry hydrants to get a truck off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you don't keep the access to them when you don't need them,
Right.
then it's not there when you do need them,
And
right?
it makes it much tougher to open them up. If you don't do it every storm,
Yeah.
it makes it much tougher to keep them open.
Is that something that Jim's guys could do as their?
Jim's guys do all of the dry hydrants that are basically on town property or things like that. Anything that's on a private driveway, his guys do not go,
Right.
like for the Williams one that's down the street, keep that open. Obviously, I tried to check Mr. Aldi's, and there's a few others. There are some that the homeowners, and Mr. Aldi is usually pretty good about keeping it open as far as it goes. It looks like they may have been a little bit ahead.
Yeah, or I get a little bit behind.
But most of them, there are people that do keep them open or keep an eye on them. But Jim's guys are very good about taking care of the ones for like outside the dam in Melbourne Village. And as far as Pier 19, as far as the area where we draft from, and also up in Melbourne Village, they push out onto the area up there to where we draft
Speaking of Pier 19, when you were down on the lake looking at the fishing, have we looked at the ice eaters out there? Is everything okay with that?
Yeah, ours, where we draft, ours has been doing fine. It's on a timer. Jack takes care of the other two, the one at Melbourne and the one that's at the end of Pier 19.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Update on the Wi-Fi, Lakes Region is coming to replace the router at 11 o'clock.
Okay. Okay, Conservation Commission. Gentlemen, come on down.
Morning.
Good morning.
You have any news on Lloyd?
He is continuing to get better, and he is scheduled to come home on the 28th. So his stay in rehab has been extended only because he lives alone. So, you know, they want to give him that extra.
Where is he now?
It's down near the hospital in Portsmouth. I don't know exactly what it's rehab facility.
Okay.
So he's continuing to progress.
All our members are interested in
Yep.
knowing about his progress.
So we've been talking to various funding sources for land lot idea. We have a land trust express some interest. They have a question. The normal procedure is, if they accept the project, is to go into fundraising mode. Because they don't have like a savings account with money ready to go. So, if they agree prior to town meeting to be part of a partnership on this, can we give them some amount of time for a fundraising effort?
Well, I know we've got a warrant article on this particular project. So my thinking would be that if the town votes yes on the warrant article, then we proceed from there. We've got the imprimatur of the voter, so if it takes a couple of years to get it put together, it takes a couple of years. But I don't think there's going to be any change in our objective once we get that vote. If they vote no, then obviously there's no commitment at all.
So what happens if they start fundraising now? Now, it's not an approved project until the voters
Right.
approve it.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that would,
I think the trigger for an official fundraising would be the town meeting date
right,
based on approval.
Which is in May.
right,
But prior to that, you have to get all the wheels ready to turn,
sure,
you know what I mean?
Well, and you can get commitments.
yeah.
You know, it doesn't, they don't have to cut the check until after the vote.
It should have prefaced this with, based on the last time we talked, well, when we talked about this at first, last fall, I asked what your intent would be if we couldn't work this out, and you talked about going to auction in late spring, early summer. So that's the date I've been working with, and that's what I mentioned to them. And I think they were concerned about completing a fundraising effort prior to that. Plus, they would hold the easement, the conservation easement.
Mhm.
So, I think, I don't know whether getting the surveying done around the lot is an issue or not. But they wanna make sure everything is lined up, they've gone through the process of checking the deed, doing the deed research and everything else before they actually, go with the, commit to the easement, do all the paperwork, change funds, things like that. So I just wanted to make sure we have enough time, or we're flexible about time. to get
Well, once again, I think if the voters vote to do the project, then you got plenty of time. If they vote not to, it still doesn't preclude you from doing it. It's just that it's not going to be done with any town money.
Right, just makes the lift a little higher for
Yeah.
other funding sources.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
we're not in any,
And
I haven't heard
I
that
guess
they're-
with respect to auctioning the property, that's discretionary on our part.
right?
And as a general approach, my feeling is that we don't want to be in the business of holding on to tax deeded properties. Now, in a situation where there's some special circumstance that not putting it up to auction while we get things lined out to do a transaction like this, I don't have a problem with. And I know when we last talked, we talked about how when we do auctions, typically early summer seemed to work well. As we relate to what's going on with the pandemic at this point, I don't know that early summer is going to be a time when
It
an
may
auction.
stretch out into 2022.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, let's wait until after we get to the vote in May, figure out what direction that's going to send us. And if it sends us down the road of not funding it through that warrant article, a portion of it through that warrant article, then let's have a conversation then on how we proceed. I mean, maybe we do the survey, maybe we break it into two pieces to make the auction work. There are any number of permutations of what we can do after that, but I think we have to wait until the vote.
So we have a non-critical question that also came up with what would happen to the lot, the house lot, after town meeting, or let's say money changes hands and we have all of this figured out for the conservation part. Is there a plan for the house lot?
You talk about the residence and
Yeah.
the property immediately around it?
Yes.
Put it back on the tax rolls at some point, okay? I mean,
Would that go back?
I don't have any appetite for the town continuing to hold on to that forever.
Right.
I don't have any appetite for us holding on to any of this thing forever. It's just a matter of,
But if the tax debt was settled with this other transaction, would it then go back to the?
Then it would go back to the land.
right. So, once the obligation to the town is satisfied on the property, then it goes back to belonging to the person that it was taken from.
Right.
We're not in the business of confiscating
Yeah.
property, we're in the business of collecting the
Yeah.
taxes. And sometimes you have to take the property in order to ultimately get the taxes.
And it could be, it could be that it doesn't go back to the property owner for whatever reason, whether they decide not to. And then we'll sell it to somebody else and they'll start paying the taxes.
Right.
But at some point in time, in the next 12 to 18 months, somebody's gonna be paying property
Yeah.
taxes.
Have you heard anything from Rick?
I'm sorry?
Have you heard anything from Rick say?
I've had, he has sent me some emails. My town email is not
Yeah.
coming through since the changeover. And I've left him a couple of phone messages and they haven't heard anything back, so.
And we may wanna get him in here.
Yeah.
I mean, it may be that sometime between now and the business meeting in May that we bring Rick in and run through. This isn't the only question in my mind,
Yeah.
things we need to get settled
Okay.
out.
I think that everything we're,
I think they were also wondering about a PNS based on the commitment.
go ahead.
So they were also curious on whether the town would be willing to do a purchase and sale based on a commitment to the warrant article. So in other words, you'd give this organization a purchase and sale for the land, and then if the warrant article went through, then they would follow through. If not, the purchase and sale would be null and void.
I did follow up on that, and the others don't agree with that terminology, purchase and sales.
Yeah.
So I think we're just looking at written commitment.
Some kind of a commitment, I guess would be the word, that based on the warrant article going through, they could start their fundraising.
Well, if you wanna bring something forward,
Yeah.
I think that'd be the easiest thing.
I don't have any problem with a contingent commitment. We don't have the authority to commit funds until they're
Right.
approved at town meeting, but
I mean, I guess the other question that I would have when you go back, because you're gonna have to, them or you create this document, is do you have any intention or would there be any ability to do this whole deal without public funding, without town funding? Because if you could, then we could make a sales agreement based on that. And it would take the warrant article out of the picture completely.
At the moment, we don't have
it's too big a
anything like
lift.
that.
Yeah.
It's, right now it's a stretch making the current, going up with the R side of the 50,000.
Mhm.
Land bank made commitments on 3 different projects. They still want to support this, but they want to hear what everybody else is doing and come in at a minimal level or whatever it takes to get it done perspective. Because they basically operate off the interest they have in an investment. And when it gets down below a certain level, they like to hold off until it gets back up to it. The market's been good, so it supported these other 3 projects, but they're, at the moment, they don't feel like they want to get into another one. But they also want to support this, so they want to wait and see how this works out because of land trust.
And that might be a good motivator to get your document together for a commitment, because it gives you 2.5 months to see what sort of public interest there is. And if there's enormous public interest, that's going to change how you approach it, I think. Just a thought.
So I think that's it for us.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for
Okay.
your support.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks. All right.
This is Parks and Rec.
Yeah, Parks and Rec, not here yet. All right. So let's move on to the signature file. We have a an application for veterans credit for what lot is it?
It's for both of the husband and the wife.
Yep, I understand, but I'm looking for the lot on here, 54-1-56.
And all the conditions are met, then I'll make a motion that we sign.
And I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Morning, Dennis. Welcome. Come on down.
Wow. What's going on? No business? You guys quick or what?
Trying to keep things
We're socially distancing.
Yeah.
Wow. Boy, that's a shock. Kathy had warned me with the public mayor, might be even later.
Thank you, the wrong way.
Excellent. How's Mr. Lloyd doing?
He is continuing to improve.
Good. Is he home yet?
No. He's, this coming weekend is,
That's just a summary of what I'm gonna talk about, make it easy for you.
Very nice.
Couple flyers. Okay, you ready for me?
yes, we are.
All right. Good to see you guys, how you doing?
Good.
I'm gonna just talk about some stuff early, get that over with. I think there's, the last 2 items might take some time, so we can. You see I got my things in, I don't, they work.
There you go.
Hello? I don't know. Anyway, we're looking to get a new member. His name is Mark Weimer. His family's been involved with our programs, and I think Jeff Reisner recruited him to come in. He was at our last meeting. I think he's got to come see you, Kath, about
And a-
swearing in and then letting the selectmen approve.
Yeah, we have to
Yeah,
vote
so-
to approve.
Yeah, so,
He's,
we appoint people, and then after they're appointed, then they can come and
Okay.
take their oath. Yep.
But that would give us 5 members. He's an electrician, he's participated, like I say, in a few of our programs, and he's offered to help maintenance-wise a lot of ways, so I think he's gonna be a good member. But anyway, Central School, a couple things with them. They asked permission to put up a funnel ball and a volleyball court on the far section of probably right field, center field, way out. So I went up, met with the phys ed director and stuff. Funnel ball it's like basketball, but it's kind of like a funnel. Little kids can play it, so it's really good for the smaller kids. So they asked permission about doing that, and we gave them permission on that.
Where's that gonna be at? I'm sorry.
What's that, Kath?
Where's that gonna be at?
Whereabouts what?
Where's it going to be?
It's at Davis Field.
Oh, actually.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
probably, it's far out. Actually, they got kind of a portable classrooms out there now. I don't know if you've seen all those stumps and stuff. So, I mean, it's not gonna impact the baseball field at all, so it should be fine. We took back, Brandon and I, they did a community video, kind of like to pump the kids up through this pandemic, and we did that the other day. They invited us to be part of their Spring Family Fun Day, May 21st, which we're gonna do. We're gonna have a craft project. We're gonna run human horse racing. You ever do that?
No.
Well, it's a lot of fun. We like that. And that's May 21st. So that's with the Central School. The snowmobilers, been dealing with them. They asked to borrow some benches. We gave them 6 benches for their concession area the other day. Still have a little problem with where the pass-through is, and I contacted Jim Beam. When they plow right in by the portalet and then make a big bank. So it's kind of hard for the snowmobiles to cross the road and then get, you know what I'm saying? So we gotta make sure we don't do that. But things are going good with them. Got a couple of events down at 19 Days this winter. They had an informal brew fest, which they normally have the formal one. But when I was there was probably over 100 or so people out there. And then, of course, the big fishing derby with the Molten Grove was the 13th. And the Lions Club asked to use our area for concession. I guess they did very well, so that went good. Just spoke with Steve Wingate and is it Scapaccio? Steve Scapaccio?
Yeah. Yep.
We're gonna take part, this group we joined, the New Hampshire Recreation and Parks Association, is very helpful. Every day is updates, newsletters, and we're gonna take advantage of one of their trainings tomorrow night, 5 to 7, dealing with the land and water conservation and also the recreational trails. The funding opportunities through the government that we're gonna look at tomorrow night, so. Both of those gentlemen, I just saw them coming in, they're gonna attend, and I'll be at the office doing that, so hopefully that'll turn out good for us. Just kind of holding our breath, I guess, with programs ready to go. You probably know we tried like heck to get the fireworks, different areas, pretty much dead end. They are looking at one more camp, Brandon's checking in with them, but I hate to lose a $13,000 fireworks display, you know what I'm saying? And Jeff would donate that, but anyway, we do have a paint class. The next one you have a flyer with, you have a concert scheduled there. You know, some of the programs we're working on, we got a couple guys helping us building cornhole, so we don't have to run up. I had a backup with the Kingswood High School. We could use their spring cornhole for a cornhole league. However, I'd have to go up there Friday, pick them up, bring them back Monday because they're going to use them. So we're going to build our own, and it's in the budget, so that's good.
And how are we doing on sponsorship for our concert series? Have we got somebody working on that?
Say that again.
Sponsorship for the concert series? Are we working on that?
We're just going out to the, well, you know, it's funny, it seems like the same people continually, whatever letter I send will fund us, you know, so we're gonna, going out on that. And the biggest one, of course, that hasn't come through the last, well, year and a half or so was the bank. They started the year before I came for 2,500. The year I came, they were down to 1,500. And the pandemic hit and they chose elsewhere, so, and that's fine. But we will send letters out on that. Some of the other things we're looking at, spoke to the principal and the phys ed guy about putting up these smaller baskets in their gym up there. It's a situation where it's just a metal plate that goes on and then the rim slides in and slides out. And it's really great for kindergarten, first grade, second grade kids. So again, we can't get in their gyms yet. Our backup plan for that, late spring is Kingswood has these clip-on baskets we can put on the outside baskets and it'll bring the basket lower. So the initial plan is kindergarten, first grade, one group, first grade, second grade, based on their talent, another group, and then 3 and 4, 5 and 6. And just because they've had no basketball this year. So we're hoping by late spring we're going to come in and do that. I spoke with the girl that runs our yoga. She's back on board. Swim team, swim lessons. Again, we got our 2 people in line for that. A couple other things we're looking to run, again, based on the pandemic. Saturday in the Park, which is nothing more than a phys ed program for younger kids, and romper room, which we like to run here, almost like a daycare type situation where kids interact and just get a little socialization. So that's pretty much it on the programming. Now let's get to the good stuff. You ready? Sure. I'm sure you guys know all the scuttlebutt going around with the Facebook, with the Compton Gross free speech, some of the emails we received at the town offices, some of the phone calls. Anyway, I'll just start from the beginning. Spoke with Christine Collins a few weeks back about their situation. I watched their meeting online because I'm a Wolfboro resident about I think it's Article 1 in the warrant number 35 that they're looking to make Brewster Beach totally, just residents only, I guess. So I just called Christine, just saying, Christine, how's that going to work, and blah, 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 and it definitely could affect us. And as we were talking, she talked about saying they got a task force together to look at all 3 beaches. So that whole policy over there might change. My opinion on the whole thing, it hasn't changed from last year, that I still think it should be just open. I think a lot of the information that's come out is bad information. I was at that beach every day last year. And some of the things they say weren't true. Was it a little more crowded? Yes. We had girls do maintenance in the morning. But, maybe the weekend, my wife and I would go down and take our kayaks out and come back. There might be 15 cars. Some of the problems I saw, I drive in 2-3 times a day, and the same people I saw smoking in the beach area would be smoking. Go over and I say, how many times I gotta tell you? Oh, there might be a cooler, someone with beer. And not having a lifeguard there certainly makes that an easier job for us, but it wasn't a big deal. And I think we'd wait and see just how this whole thing goes again. You just look at the big picture. We're a resort area. And 5 years down the road, people say, well, I'm not going to go to Wolfboro. I can't swim there. Why would I go to their restaurant or to their store or whatever? So I just hope that Wolfboro straightens it out. And I don't think it's going to affect us. Like I say, last year, the commission wanted to have life, parking attendants and all this stuff. And I was against it. And I said, let's wait and see. And I think we did. And it turned out okay. During the conversation with Christine, she said, Dennis, I got to tell you something. I said, what is it? She said, when you and Brandon asked for a meeting with me about the resident fee, talking about people paying the same fee as Wolfboro residents. She said, I'm going to tell you right now, it's not worth it for you. She says, there's no way you're getting $17,000 worth. she says, some of the people, very few go to our camp or ski. And she says, and you know what? Those same people are still gonna come regardless. So she says, do what you want. I need a letter by the end of March on which direction you guys are gonna go with this user fee. And our term goes to April 1st, so we're covered until April 1st on that. So the ski season this season would be covered. So we brought it up to the commission meeting last week, and they voted not to send them the money. I'm happy about that. I was against it the first day I took the job, and I'm telling you, if I took that 17 grand right now, it's gonna impact more Tuftonboro people this year than any skiers or summer camp that went to Wolfboro. I've checked into these big screens, 40-footers that we rented last year. You could have weekly movies down at the beach or at Davis Field. You could show night Patriot games. You could do anything like that. But I think immediately we got to make a decision, and I know it's kind of a big decision because you've had it for a while. But the commission voted not to do it, and I'm bringing it up to you people to before I write a letter, yay or nay. And it's funny. I was kind of shocked that their director come up and said that. So, I mean, that's where we stand. I don't know if you guys have to meet on that or get back to me on that.
We have to decide.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's, I think, to back up a little bit, I'm not a great fan, and I don't think I've ever looked at either the Tuftonboro Free Speech or the Facebook or any of that stuff, because I don't see that it's particularly informative or useful. But that said, these meetings are all put out there on the interweb.
I'm sorry.
These meetings are all put out on the internet every week.
So,
No, these meetings that
Yeah,
we're
yes.
currently sitting in.
right.
So I think if we give it a week or 2 weeks to mull, if there's no public input, pro or con, on this subject, then I think we'll just move forward and do the math. I haven't heard, I met one person who, at the post office, who mentioned that they thought the closure of the Wolfboro beaches was going to adversely affect Tuftonboro, in that I guess they had buses full of people at Albee Beach and whatever.
Well, it's funny,
I don't know
talking to Jackie, she said, Dennis, number one, I was talking to her about it, she said, Wolfboro people won't come here. She says, and a lot of people locally would see a Massachusetts license plate and be upset, but Massachusetts people own big places in Tufton.
Right.
Yeah, we can't put an end to that as much as we might like to.
So, you know, again, I don't know how many people in Tuftonboro know that fee was being paid every year. You know?
Anybody that pays attention.
Yeah, it's been that way
It's
forever.
Been
Yeah,
long-standing, so.
You know, my concern is that it adversely affects kids in town. I think we need to have a longer discussion about how we go about facilitating
Right.
recreational activities that you can't provide.
Right.
They have to go to Wolfboro, or they have
And
to
you know,
go.
the funny thing too, I mean, she was saying that, I said, Christine, we wanted the meeting because we just wanted to know what we actually paid. If the lady got a $50 yearly fee and it's normally $80, well, that's $30. So you add them up. What did it come up to $5 grand? Did it come up to $3 grand? Or did it come up to 20 grand? I don't know.
Right.
She goes, exactly. And she says, you're not getting the 17 grand one. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Yeah, but I don't know that I don't think that calculation's ever been done on the
Right.
Wolfboro side or probably on our side.
And if I understand correctly, the fee level was based on, it was population-based.
Right.
It was not
Right.
user-based, okay? So you pick something up.
Well,
how do
it
we
was a
do it?
2010 census, I think.
Yeah,
It was $6
So,
And something per person, they charge $6.98 or something per person. based
so
on
to the
2,000.
extent that we have kids in Tuftonboro that participate in the programs Wolfboro Parks and Rec have today, and by the arrangement, they're paying the same thing as their school chums in Wolfboro pay there, all right? If we divorce ourselves from that arrangement, they pay the non-resident fee. Some of those kids, that's gonna be a deterrent for. I don't know how many kids participate, all right? And there are some kids that the difference in fee doesn't make a difference, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But to the local kids that it does, I don't wanna see them drop through the crack, so.
No, I understand.
I mean, I think another approach might be to say, okay, we got whatever it is, $16,000 on the budget,
Yeah.
is to call it a scholarship for recreational activity. Work out a deal with Christine, and if she's got a Tuftonboro kid that comes there to do the whatever, baseball or skiing or soccer, they just bill us.
Right.
They bill us.
I don't know if she'll do that, because initially she said they couldn't administer how much we actually paid. It
Well,
would be
No,
too much
I
work
don't-
on their part.
Bill us for the whole thing.
Yeah.
right.
You know, I mean, some of these kids are just, I mean, if my grandson goes down to play soccer, we just cut a check and he goes and plays soccer. It's not a big issue. But there are some kids that's a little harder to make.
Yeah,
all
I'm
these
sure there's the
commitments.
cases. Yeah, definitely.
So, you know, maybe we end up spending 100% for some kids and nothing for other kids. It doesn't
Right.
matter to me.
Right.
It becomes a scholarship for those kids that are struggling to be able to participate.
Well, that, before the commission voted, Brandon wanted me to check with her to make sure if for some reason we decided not to pay the fee, our kids still eligible to go. Because, you know, there was a point where they were just shutting down. It was only gonna let Tuftonboro, New Durham kids and Wolfboro kids go. Anybody else, no. And she said, no, Dennis, no problem. They're welcome to participate in whatever program, so. So you guys are gonna discuss and get back. Again, I think she just needed an answer, well, at least by the end of March.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay?
Well, we've got all day on the 6th to sit around and talk about something. so.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
The other thing on the beach, I think we need to, I'm not at all interested in you or your lifeguards policing. I don't see that as an effective thing to do, and I only see problems doing it that way. I would sooner have the police department do daily or twice daily drive-throughs.
yeah.
You know, if some guy's got a cooler full of beer and he's smoking cigarettes out there, I don't want you confronting that person, because that's not your job.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say what you want, but what happens when conflict arises? Now it's just
Yeah.
a problem.
No,
I think having a uniformed police officer stop in there every day would be helpful.
I mean, would they, obviously that'd be bad. I remember one time last summer, I'm pulling in and the police chief pulled in right after me.
Yeah.
And a lady came through the far end with a dog walking on the beach. And I want to walk over to her, and the police chief goes, "You want to get her or do you want me to get her?" I said, "I'll take care of her." So, you know, again, I don't think there was any incident.
I don't have any empirical evidence that there's abuse of the beach by out-of-towners.
Right.
And until you have a police officer, or
Yeah.
you want to take plate numbers, until we have some sort of empirical evidence that it's a problem, this whole idea of resident only or any of that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know where that comes from. I have no appetite for doing that. You know, and you look at what happened in Wolfboro and the pushback, the negative that they got out of that. Why would we want to say, oh, we'll do the same thing? I mean, that's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
yeah.
I mean, what's your feeling on just keeping it open to everybody?
It is open to everybody.
Yeah.
Say it again?
It is open to everybody.
No, I know, but I mean, are you guys?
I have no appetite for changing it,
Oh, good.
okay?
Yeah. Until there's I mean, I see this as a solution in search of a problem.
Mhm.
And until we're presented with a problem, I don't see
Right.
any reason to get into this
If
private
we have
issues.
specific issues that come up, let's figure out how to deal with it, other than saying
Right.
you have to live in Tuftonboro to be here.
Mhm.
Because I think you're right, that what I'm familiar with, in some of our properties on the lakefront, town properties, in terms of use, it isn't the casual visitor. It's the person that comes down there and says, well, I've been drinking my cocktail here for years. What do you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, yeah, what do you see this sign over here? No, I didn't see that.
The other thing to keep in mind is that we're the legislative body, or the executive body here. So if you have a problem in the middle of July, I mean, you see just this problem developing, we can take action at that moment in time.
Yeah,
I
okay.
mean, we don't have to, make some announcement in
Right.
the winter of what
Right.
we're gonna do in the summer. If there really is an issue, and it really does show its ugly face in July or August, then we'll
Right.
we'll make the
Deal
change
with
then.
it, yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
And this resident user fee thing, don't ever bring that in here.
Then what?
Don't ever bring that back in here. People pay taxes. That's why they pay taxes.
Right.
To have and we have a really low tax rate. But if you need more money for your department, just ask.
Yeah.
I hate the resident user fee strikes me as the user fee for this, and pretty soon I'm paying, $8,000 or $10,000 or $20,000 in property tax, but I'm also paying another $2,000 in user fees.
Mhm.
And I don't, just send me the bill once a year or twice a year and I'll pay it. But don't nickel and dime me.
I think he was talking about the Wolfboro user fee in that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, never mind. I just don't want to bring user fees into Tuftonboro. I have a hard enough time with the transfer station fees, but
That's it, guys. You guys, anything else?
Nope, I don't think so.
good job.
You gonna do an Easter egg hunt this year?
I'm working on it at the school, to make it part of the school program. Yeah.
When does your concert series start? July 8th?
The what?
Your concert series starts July 8th.
Yeah.
There's a possibility at town meeting that the voters may decide to finance the new police station.
Yeah.
If they do that, I'll let you know what bank we choose and you can hit them up because they are gonna make $100,000 worth of interest. And there's no reason why they shouldn't participate in our,
Yeah. Okay.
okay?
What are you gonna do now, you guys? No one else on the docket here?
We always have plenty to do.
Yeah.
We've got the police department somewhere in there.
Oh, I'm before them this time. Thank you very much.
Yep. All right.
All right, guys. Have a good
Thanks,
one.
Kevin.
Take care. See you later.
All right, so next up is Chief Shigori, who is not here yet. Let's go to correspondence. So in correspondence, we have several letters from people expressing opinions relative to a new cell tower down on Eaglemere.
Right.
And I think it's great that they're interested in weighing in.
I think
This application will go to the planning board
Right. So we should
for a
forward,
public hearing,
we should
and
forward those letters. to
so,
the planning board, I think.
I started a file and I'm keeping it available to them.
okay, yep,
But
So-
Jackie asked where it was in case she has.
Well, let's just make sure that the chair of the planning board knows that there's letters coming in.
Yep.
Okay.
And they may want to,
I can copy them and put them in the box.
yeah.
yep,
Yeah.
yep, that sounds good. So I have a certificate of training
Do I hear from
completion.
Joe?
Huh?
I just have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, Are we gonna go through this again like we did down in Melvin Village with the cell tower there?
I have no idea.
Do you have opposition to these people at Eaglemere already? I don't know, I'm just asking the
So we have
question.
letters, some that are in support of it, some that are against it.
And what about the one down on Sodom Road?
What about the one on Sodom Road?
Is that being constructed and so, there was
It's-
no opposition to that, right?
So we have signed a lease for 2 cell towers on town property.
Okay,
And last I knew, they were doing some of the step work that they have to do to have their ducks in a row. The planning board will be presented with the project as it goes down the road before they start the construction. I haven't heard anything recently from Verizon relative to that. So
Okay.
projects on town property are different than projects on private property.
I just remember what we went through the last time, quite extensive meetings and so on and so forth, so I didn't know if we're gonna
Well,
run
we
into
haven't
that.
had any letters of opposition.
Okay,
that I've
thank you,
seen.
that's all.
Right. We haven't seen any opposition to the 2 that we're working toward on town property.
Okay,
We
thank you.
have, as I said, we've had several come in on the Eaglemere. My understanding, I've seen something about a location up on Winter Circle that they are looking to do. So one of the things I think that we need to understand is, as the cell phone world works toward this 5G, the 5G has all kinds of benefits associated with it, but one of the shortcomings, or one of the realities, is that the signal distance is shorter, so you have to have more towers to provide coverage. So I think that's why we're seeing this flurry of activity toward new cell towers.
And is the town looking at a limit as how many we can place in the town?
So the way this thing works is every project is, if it's brought forward, is looked at on the basis of its merits.
All right,
So I'm not.
I was just curious, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yep.
And that would be I mean, I realize it's been an enormous struggle to try to get the master plan done, but that's the sort of issue that is addressed in the master plan. It's
Right.
not something that the selectmen can decide.
You keep leading in. You were at the planning board meeting not too long ago last week,
I
Bill?
was.
And you were doing an update on the master plan at that time. Is that progressing or is it almost done?
So the master plan steering committee had met the night before, which includes the consultant who's working on it, and they're starting to work their way through the process.
Okay. Thank you.
So it's not almost done, but
Work in progress.
it is a work in
We've
progress.
got a provisional master plan.
Yep. Well, we have the existing master plan that's old, but, all right, so let me run through the rest of the correspondence and we'll get to Chief here. Certificate of training for Officer Thomas LaFave for effective police interaction with youth. Youths, yeah.
I watched that this weekend.
So, have statistics and minutes from the library. I miss having the library director come in and present their information, their update. And I took the opportunity last time I was in the library to suggest to Dennis that we would like to see him. And it's a good opportunity for him to make more widely available information about what's going on at the library. So we'll see if coming back. Okay, so now we've got this is project review by the New Hampshire Division of Historical Resources, and this is
That's the application.
the application for the police station, right? Okay,
Chief.
so, and is that in?
That was submitted,
Okay,
waiting to hear back. That was a requirement that was given to us as part of the grant.
okay. Notice of public hearing on a application in the town of Thornton for cell phone tower, right? Again, it's all part of this 5G thing that's going on. Map of charter communications coverage, Hampshire Borough. Other things here, let's see. Executive council wrap up. Emergency orders from the governor relative to various COVID-associated things.
And those are the two, with regard to moving the town meeting.
So one is temporary modification of municipal and local government statutory requirements. I think that has to do with town meeting and town elections. Another one is temporary modification of procedures relative to appropriations and tax payments. I haven't read through this one, so my guess is it's modifying some of the dates. And temporary provision to respond to timing challenges related to the enactment of Senate Bill 2 and the 2021 legislative session. And Senate Bill 2 is the legislation that's trying to work its way through relative to changing town elections and town meetings to adjust to the pandemic.
Yeah, the only, I mean, there's any number of different little problems with moving things around. One of the problems I was thinking about this morning is if we do have a change in the membership of the Board of Selectmen in March, that's where again has to happen in March.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we have a member who wasn't participating in the creation of the budget, so we're gonna have to talk about how we present, because
Right.
the selectmen's presentation of the warrant articles and the budget has already been settled.
Yeah.
And so it's
So-
just something we need to
Yeah,
talk about.
so we'll deal with that, right? I mean, we just have to figure out how to do it. I will mention that with respect to the elections and town meetings, I saw the other day where Effingham has moved their election back to May, along with their town meeting,
And they,
which means that the school district election isn't finished until the second week in May.
right. So you got all kinds of budget impacts, I think, that are gonna happen, but that's, in that information from the governor, it did clarify that moving not only the business meeting, but also the election.
Right.
And it didn't clarify, as far as I could see, the hearing requirements. So you have a bond hearing in February
Mm-hmm.
for a possible bond vote in May or June. I mean, it seems as though if you're gonna move things, move it all. But it didn't appear that that was happening.
Yeah, when I read that over, and I haven't gone back to, wasn't clear to me that maybe that the flexibility on multiple of the regular statutory dates was built into the emergency order.
That
So,
wasn't clear to me, but.
yeah,
that
well,
wasn't
at any
clear
rate,
either. Yeah,
it was not clear. We did it according to the statutory requirement.
right.
So if there's some flexibility and it makes sense to do another, we could, there's no reason we can't do it again, but I didn't want to miss the opportunity to do it one time.
Right. I don't think we can move the election at this point.
No, and I wouldn't suggest that we do. I don't see any benefit to moving the election. Other than,
Yeah.
to, you know,
Whatever happens is gonna happen.
Yep,
no matter what.
it is.
Yeah. Okay.
right. Chief, come on down. How are you?
Okay. Did we discuss the heating system yet?
We have not
We
discussed
haven't
it.
yet.
We waited for you to get here.
Waiting for me to get here.
Yes.
I saw, Phil's email there. I don't know what your thoughts were on. the
Well, all of them
office.
came in at less money than the original
I saw that.
RFP. I mean, he's,
So can I just cut to the chase and express my opinion, and that is, I think we ought to put radiant heating in the building.
oh yeah,
And
we don't
then
have to vote then. 'Cause
Huh?
we don't have to vote, because that's where I was going as well.
Well, okay, all I'm saying is radiant in the floor, you gotta have ductwork for the air conditioning,
Yeah.
put heating coils in the ductwork as well.
I thought they weren't gonna do that.
This is where I'm going,
Okay.
not where they're going.
Okay.
So here's why you put heating coils in the ductwork along with cooling coils. Because there are times when you need to heat things up in a hurry, and radiant heating doesn't do that. Radiant is good for maintaining temperature. Having coils in the ductwork allows you to, let's say, the door's open too long or something, all right? Then you've got the opportunity to bring the temperature in the air back up more quickly. So that's my.
I can appreciate where you're going with that, and I'm not opposed to it. It's just in my personal experience, when you heat up a big cement mass,
Yep.
the recovery is almost instantaneous. I mean, I had the door open in my shop, my wood shop, and overhead, 8 foot tall, 10 foot wide overhead door for 20 minutes on Sunday. When I closed it, the building was back up, interior was back up to 60 degrees within 10 minutes.
Okay, so maybe it's not necessary. At any rate,
But I don't have a problem with redundancy either.
yeah,
Yeah. But to finish where I was going, at $164,000 to do it with Radiant is a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned, because he was at over 170 originally with some bastardized heat pump thing. Plus, I don't think he factored in the savings on the generator, for instance.
Electrical, the mechanicals, the electrical
Right.
panel, the electrical generator.
And with a boiler, I'm confused about your domestic hot water needs. Because your boiler's gonna create domestic hot water. And you can run a separate zone into a hot water maker, which I
That's what they're
have.
talking about doing if we go with a boiler.
Those aren't that much money, I mean, a couple of $1,000
so,
bucks.
and again, with respect to an off-boiler hot water tank, which is sort of the traditional way to do it,
Right,
the downside is the boiler runs all year. But
but it runs pretty,
it doesn't run a lot.
you only
That's
got
right.
one circuit running into the hot
Right.
domestic in
Right.
the summertime, so.
Right, so,
It's probably better for I've never had a gas furnace, so I have no idea, but I know on the oil furnaces, it's better to have them run every now and then all year. You don't have the same maintenance issues of
mhm.
shutting things down.
So just to be clear though, I think, and I don't have the printout in front of me, but I thought the option for Radiant was not heat coils in the ducts.
So,
There was
so,
a motion
so,
in the
so again,
garage.
maybe that's overkill, okay?
That's Selectman Markison's current,
Position.
That's my thought.
Yeah, it has nothing to do
I'm just
with-
saying the pricing that he gave was, I think, was Radiant the floor
Right,
did not include heat coils in the,
domestic hot water, 75 degrees, 15 gallons per minute, that's domestic, okay. So you're gonna have air handlers in the attic, ceiling diffusers.
it was highlighted and
Yeah. You're still gonna have your AC
yeah.
heat pumps outside. Get rid of the baseboard. So, I mean, we're 164. I mean, I don't know how much those heat
Coils.
coils would change that number, so, yeah.
Well, so I'm going to propose that we move forward with radiant hot water heating and ducted air conditioning, and understand more about an option for backup coils.
I think they were talking still having a modine type heater in the garage, like you talked about, because that's a big door that's gonna open. That's what they talked about doing with one modine off. You know.
Well, I think we can agree, I don't know, but I think that we can agree on what Bill is saying.
Yeah.
If sometime between now and May, when we get our funding, some information comes forward that it is advantageous to put some stuff in the ducts, then we'll just change it up. I mean, it's not, we're trying to establish a baseline or a gross price.
Right.
I mean, I think we're gonna still be well within the budget. I mean,
Well, it's hard, I can't speak for Phil, but I think he was looking beyond just a baseline. He was looking to be able to
Finish the design.
finish the design out,
Right.
and, which brought another thing up in his email that I was kind of scratched my head on a little bit, was like, because he said something about now's the time to come up with other, I can't remember the wording, something about more cost savings, or, which I thought that's what,
for what?
any other I can't remember the exact wording he had there. Is it towards the highlighted one?
I don't save the emails, so.
Basically, what it was something like, if there's other changes to cut costs, it should be
We gotta do it
done
now.
now, kind of a thing.
Well,
Which
so.
I kind of thought that
so-
was what Cobb Hill was supposed to be doing the value
Right, so,
engineering on.
as I remember, the whole idea is you get the concept that we have priced, get
Right.
those prices where they can be. Look at it relative to the design concept, recognize areas where we can adapt in the final design to take some of that cost out. So that's separate but related to the heating system. I mean, we still have some of the other
Yeah, we
budget numbers we looked at that we said, why is site work $500,000 or $400,000, whatever it is?
So, we've made other changes, made some window changes, some
Yeah.
door changes, some layout changes. So I think if we have you ask Phil for the benefits of heating air handlers in the ductwork and a total for what we've got today, and then we'll look at that gross number that he comes up with. And hopefully we can move $100,000 or $150,000 into contingency, because I still don't have a furnitures and fixtures number.
Yeah, I should be getting that soon for most of the furniture. And when I don't have, well, I gotta figure out something about the radio stuff, but.
So it's
furniture and fixtures-
it's still to a certain degree a moving target.
Yeah,
I mean, we're gonna stay under our number that we're asking for. But where the money goes is just changing
Right.
direction. So
Right.
we've saved $10,000 in, let's say, in the heating system, and another $5,000 in the generator, so we got $15,000. What's your furniture gonna cost? It's gonna be more than $15,000, I'm sure. But now we can work on the site work part of it, which I think is, once that goes out to bid, that number's gonna plummet, as far as I can see.
okay. So, do you want me to reach back to Phil and say,
Yeah,
looking at radiant? and-
we're on to whatever it is, number 4, I think, in his list.
Yeah, like I think an A and B or something.
so option 3,
Yep.
that's what it is. And, yeah.
No, I don't think it's option 3 because you questioned him after all that about the reading. You didn't
Right.
see any
Right.
reading.
Those are
And I'm not
highlighted
sure we
ones.
need an 80-gallon heat pump for domestic hot water. I'm not sold
I
on
don't
that.
disagree.
Right.
This is,
I'm
there's
not
no
sold
shower,
on that. I mean,
there
one
is a
system.
shower, but there's not there's not a bunch of people living there taking
Right,
showers.
right.
It might be
Right.
once in a while, there might be a shower, that's about it.
And if car washing becomes an issue, then, you know, we spend
Yeah, it was a,
$10 at the car wash. I mean,
yeah, I thought it was kind
yeah.
of
So
much.
include the domestic into the boiler design
Okay.
and answer the question about the air handlers and the duct work
Okay,
and get us and then run his numbers again.
yeah. And
You know, the
also,
additional windows, doors, and layout.
and also, we run his number on the mechanical as far as the electrical costs, because
Right,
you're now talking single phase
right,
Right.
panels,
Yep.
single phase generator,
all that,
Yep.
all that.
right. But we added parking lot lights, I hope, at some point in time, so that's gonna eat up some of that budget,
Okay.
okay?
We'll run
I mean,
that
I don't
by-
think it's ever gonna be done this week, but I think we're moving closer to being done. Yeah. Feels good. How's everything else in the department?
Everything else going okay. We've, I didn't get my stats and I was home sick Friday, but I'll work on that and have them done by today. Things are a little slower this month, January, versus last year. Not sure if there's a good reason to say why things are slower. They are. We still, courts, I guess, there's talk about what they're gonna need to do to reopen the courts and get things going. I know we have a backlog. They started to do grand jury again, so I went December and I went Friday. But we had a case scheduled for January, it got canceled, so we did have one in circuit court that was held, but things are back up. It was on the news the other day, yesterday, I think it was, MUR, about the backlog in the court system. I know it's a topic of discussion today, the interbranch meeting. Other
Any
than that,
any movement on the administrative assistant?
oh, yes, I've had like 4 people express interest. One backed out, we're down to 3, and I'm trying to set up, one of them was one that we interviewed before, and the other 2 I'll set up, I've got one I've set up, and then I'm gonna try to set up the other one for Thursday.
Okay. One thing that I found effective to a certain degree is when you do your interviews, end them by saying there are other options, or other opportunities in Tuftonboro that we may be able to utilize your services, so that you're not just slamming the door, because there are times when it'd be nice to have a list of names that we could call for interviewing for, as opposed to just publishing it and hoping for the best.
Obviously, I spent a bit of time on the historical thing, trying to get that
Yep.
together, so that, amongst other things, is why I set it up for this week. I wanted to finish that before I did the interviews, that's why the interviews are this week.
Yeah, don't get me going on the historical people. The problem with those folks is that they never went and promulgated rules. So what they're dealing with is the federal law, which is immaterial in New Hampshire until New Hampshire passes the same law along with rules. So
Or, or if you apply for a federal grant, because then they're gonna want you to.
Still, in New Hampshire, you have to be able to have an opportunity to question their decision. And there's nothing in the legislative body that says, or the paperwork that says that you have that option. So
Hopefully,
I don't think there's anything historical on a Dearborn property. So.
No.
no, not at least now.
Well, the historical thing was a chicken coop, and that got burned down about 10 years ago. So,
It was just the chickens that were.
yes, right. Exactly.
So that got done, and I got an email, I think last week, this week I should have the furnishing fixtures,
Good.
at least the furnishing part of it. It was kind of ironic, I had a company reach out, actually last October, and they reached out again, and they're furniture, commercial furniture company, and they can take a floor plan and kind of.
So you go room by room, because
Yeah,
you got
go room
lap
by room.
desks, you
Yep.
don't need, gun safe, all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
And what's the flooring material?
I believe it's, commercial vinyl tile.
Okay.
Like we have in the fire station.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I think
Yeah,
that-
make sure when, in your notes to fill, make sure to say, because I don't remember it being the case, but the whole slab needs insulation, not just the perimeter,
Yeah.
which I think we had before.
Yeah.
So make sure not to forget that we need to have all of that.
Yep.
Great.
So we had a conversation with Dennis this morning about the beach. Apparently there's
Dennis?
chatter.
Dennis Salambo.
Dennis Salambo.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Okay.
Dennis, library, I still.
Yeah, no, yeah.
About the beach, there's a petition down like at the store to ban people from out of town from using it.
Yeah,
Well, that ain't happening. That ain't happening as long as the two of us are on the board.
Well, and the petition, and that, maybe it wasn't clear to the person I was speaking to. They can petition the Lord with prayer, but we're not gonna make a decision like that premised on a petition. That petition would have to go before the town. So they're a little late in the day for that, so it would have to be in the 2022 town meeting if they wanna do it by petition.
And as far as enforcing it from a parking standpoint in those areas, this is not like a parking lots, like Melvin Wharf, for example, that's a town road.
Right.
You know, you can't, I don't know how you ban somebody from out of town using
Oh, well.
parking on a town road.
I say we ban them from using the road. We'd save
So-
money on paving and everything.
Yeah, so I mean, it's problematic on both parts because they're actually roads, if you will. Now,
One of the things we talked with Dennis about, though, with respect to people that are abusing the rules at the beach, and we've had some of that in the past, that the most effective way for us to keep a hand on that is, as part of your regular patrols, to have police into the various beach areas in town, and when there's an issue, you deal with it. That we don't want the lifeguard, if we have a lifeguard, or the Parks and Rec director being the guy that's enforcing the no drinking on the beach and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I
So-
don't want,
And I know you built that
Civilians
into your control
confronting.
schedules. Yes.
we do what we can. The problem is it's the summertime when we're also busy with our other stuff too. But we do it, I do it.
Right, right. So it's just part of what has to get built into the routine. And if you need extra man hours to do it, those are the kinds of things that we need to encompass.
right. Yeah, just a drive-through 99% of the time. But every now and then, as Dennis mentioned, you know, there's the guy with the cooler full of beer. And the last thing I'm interested in is having Dennis or his lifeguard confront somebody like that because they're not trained for it, they're not equipped for it, and they don't have the authority of the uniform to go along with it.
Right.
So,
My experience with that has been, I've had to catch them like drinking it out of the cooler though, because if they put it in a cup, I may not You know what I
If you
mean?
got a
I can't-
cooler on the beach with beer in it,
Yeah,
that's against the rules.
I get that, but I can't, my X-ray vision isn't that good to see what's inside it, so, you know what I mean? If they keep it closed.
Well, in
I don't have any problem asking somebody to open the trunk of their car. Open your cooler, thank you. I think what we're looking for is just some, it's not a big problem in our eyes.
Yeah.
It seems to be a problem in some other people's eyes. But the last thing that we're interested in, and we made it clear to Dennis, is closing the beaches.
Well, and I understand that this is in part in response to what happened in Wolfboro, and nobody likes that. So we don't like what went on there, so we're gonna do the same thing here, and then nanny boo-boo. It just,
Yeah.
you know, it's,
No, I mean, I get out and I walk around. I usually get out and walk around. I walk the length of the Melville Wharf, you know, but,
And most of it is just when people see you do that,
yeah.
that's all the process that needs to happen, people behave. If they see that the police never show up at 19 Mile Bed, and they think they don't have to behave.
yeah.
So.
All right, what else is going on?
Let's see, the truck's in the shop right now. It's got some things that need to be dealt with, and probably the Dodge Charger will have to go in the shop too. I'm driving that right now. The truck's in the shop, so let's see what's going on with that. But
Let's have some buy a Dodge.
Huh? Well, this is the reason
Do
why.
we have our,
Price.
are we all set on employee reviews?
I'm getting them done. I worked on that historical thing pretty hard, so
Yeah.
that's,
We
and then
gotta
that's
say,
meeting people, but I will,
we gotta say it, chief,
I owe you 3 now, because,
yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
So, but it's our job to remind you, and that's what we're doing.
I absolutely understand that.
Yep.
And no,
Did we ever hear anything back from that other grant writer?
oh yeah, what happened to the
I emailed her a number of times, and I was gonna pull out her resume and try calling her and see if that makes a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because there may be, I don't know what's gonna
She dropped
happen
off the Facebook.
with regard to the COVID relief legislation, but I know that there's a lot of stuff in there that maybe doesn't have a lot to do with COVID. There may be some opportunities there for us,
Yep.
and I'd like to know that we can take advantage of it, but I don't,
Well, I would like.
I'd rather have a grant writer do it than have the chief of police. from
Well,
this
right,
case.
exactly. And I would hope that in this, what is it, 3 billion or something you're talking about, that there's a little,
It's only 2 trillion, I think, something like that.
2 trillion?
Not coming to the state though. I mean, you're talking to the state, you're talking the overall project for it.
Yeah, I'm just thinking
Yeah.
there might be some more federal money kicking
Yeah.
around. I pay enough taxes, I'd like to get a little back.
Yep. Exactly.
That's pretty much what's going on.
Computer's good?
Computer's doing good. I'm pretty happy with the way they're doing things because in the past, I used to have to go around and do the updates and make sure the computers got updated. They have it all set up, it
Yeah.
automatically runs and does
Okay.
it, which it should have been before.
Good.
And they've been very good. So Thursday morning.
Yeah.
Thursday, 'cause you weren't supposed to be in that day. Thursday, Spectrum came in, or Charter came in and upgraded the speeds to PD, which I found out late Thursday afternoon, so I contacted Lakes Region that night, saying, I don't know if you need to be aware of this, or you're aware. They weren't, they were a little concerned that they might make some changes that could take us offline, or take the whole town offline for a little bit. So they sent somebody right over on his way to Wolfboro, met with the guy from Spectrum, and talked a few minutes and then left, and they were fine. And then the guy came in, did it, took a little bit of time, and got it done. And we're up with some speed now.
Good. good.
And then there's still a second step to it that Lakes Region has to be involved in. But the only thing that's come up is a question about our, the MDTs and the cruisers, whether that was part of the agreement with the town or not. So I asked them, should I be pulling stuff out? So I still have to have more conversations with Tom from Lakes Region about that. Pulling the, virus scanner. I paid for a Trend Micro virus scanner, but they've got their own that they put in as part of the contract in the workstations in the office, but they're not in the MDT, so I have to talk to him and hash that out, but it's been, I think, pretty good. I mean, you sent Dan, right? Dan.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think our goal has to be that this is the first year with them, but it's a 3-year contract, as I remember, that we make some adjustments if we have to going forward for at least next year, if not in the middle of this year. Because the less time you spend working on computers, the more time you can spend on police work, which is what you're trained to do.
Well, and then when days when like there's an update, I mean, I'm obligated by the state to keep procedures compliance, to make sure all that stuff is kept up to date, and access to seized materials. And so when updates came through, I'd have to go sit at each desk and do it before. Now it's, I can't even do it. They do it themselves. They do it automatically.
Delegate.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's been very, very good. They're very, very prompt, and I think I've listened to concerns, and obviously with their experience working with Molten Borough, Sandwich,
Right.
Thornton, I think they work with
Center
too.
Harbor.
Center Harbor, that particularly Molten Borough, because Marlboro has the MDTs also, and so they've been good to work with. So it's been, I think it's money well spent.
Cool. And that was the other thing I was going to ask about.
The only other question that come up about the building part, that there was the twist of the building.
Yeah.
Was there a determination on that?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Because Phil had done a mock-up showing the building twisted a little bit, right?
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
And I think that's gonna be another question that he's probably gonna want an answer to.
Yeah, but I don't know that that has any cost implications. I can't see any. I mean, relocating a couple of things, which is still, there might be an extra 2 yards of asphalt, but you do end up with 5 regular and 2 ADA compliant parking lots in the front of the building, and then another 10,
In the back.
and another 12 in the back. So,
Yep.
I mean, your parking's improved. I don't know. And I don't know that that affects the numbers that he's gonna work on.
I mean, for sure it affects the final design. And before I give it my blessing, I guess I have to go down and take a look at it and say, all right, here's exactly how it sits on the site. And I mean, it's great looking at a piece of paper, but how does it look from the road? Does it look
Where I was going with, I think he can get everything that we need and everything he needs without us coming down to the final, put the building this way or put the building this way. I don't think that's gonna make or break this deal.
Yep.
And I would sooner, I mean, hopefully we'll have a full board of selectmen when we make that decision. I'd like to have that happen.
Yep.
It might not, but it would be my preference.
So I don't think there's anything else I need to get back to.
No.
All right.
And we're around, so, I mean, we get the emails, so if something does need to be addressed, we can certainly
Yep.
have,
Yep, we can, we'll deal with it.
Okay.
we can drop everything.
Yep. Okay.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Chip, sometime you have a moment, I'd like to talk to you about one of the applicants.
Okay, I have to come down to the town office after this meeting.
I'll
Are
talk to
you
you
gonna
then.
be there?
Yes.
Okay. And you're gonna be unarmed?
Am I gonna be what?
Unarmed?
About as unarmed as I ever get.
Okay. Just check.
Okay, I think we're up to Selectmen's update.
Okay. I spent a considerable amount of time at the transfer station over the weekend. I think that transition's happening pretty smoothly. Clay has put together a 5-page itemized list of tasks, needs, contacts, phone numbers, resources. I know that he's got Chris almost signed up for training, so he'll be bringing forward a check request for training. There was a dispute, I guess you'd have to call it, with our accounting office over Chris's pay, and my solution to that was the same as your solution, in that he becomes a salaried employee, which I know would solve all the problems, but there are other issues that came up. So what I was proposing to do is draw up a salary agreement or a contract with the stipulation that we're salarying Chris for 28 hours a week. He's not eligible for sick pay because he's going to get paid 52 weeks of the year.
Yeah.
He's not eligible for retirement because he's already in the retirement system. He's not getting the health insurance because he has his health insurance through the retirement system. And just multiply the wage rate out and say this is the salary.
Mm-hmm.
And that this agreement can be terminated by either party for any reason or no reason, and we'll all sign it.
Yeah.
And that should satisfy, and we can, let's step back, we can make changes to a specific salary or contract agreement premised upon negotiations. We're not as married to our employee manual as some people in our office might think we are.
Mhm.
We have to have the flexibility to make an agreement between the
Right.
board and a department head or whoever we're negotiating, that might be different from the parameters within the employee manual. But rather than get into that discussion on Friday, I did have a talk with Chris up at the transfer station, and we're just going to limit it to a 1-page document that should satisfy everybody concerned. And the road agent finally did pull off or move that pile of snow at the end of Ledge Hill Road, so I can see up 171 when I get out there.
Good.
But that's about what I did. I did send an email off, and I probably should have. I didn't copy you because I did it personally, to Judd Bradley, saying that if he really wanted to do something positive for the communities, he would change the legislation so that insurance companies would have to offer Medicare supplemental plans for employees that are on Medicare. Because I looked at the numbers, and that would save us a substantial amount of money yearly, because we have a number of employees who are old enough, driving the current worker age down with our new employees, but even past employees who are taking advantage of the insurance available through the town by paying for it for themselves, could then be able to buy a Medicare supplemental plan.
Mhm.
So, but it would require a legislative enactment. And lastly, I did read the Downtown legislative
Agreement?
agreement. And I'm in favor of joining in. It appears as though our cost, and I think they listed our cost in the back, I don't remember exactly what it was. They do it by,
So it's the cost of the consultant, they're proposing to be apportioned among the donor towns based upon their assessed valuation.
right,
So, and Kathy checked this morning, and they don't have a number yet.
I thought it was in there.
Well, the numbers that are in here are all relative to
Well, we'll have to pay.
how much additional taxes we're gonna have to pay.
No, I just, let me just take a quick.
All right.
Because I thought that they had done that calculation.
Yeah, well, they were, at that time, they were waiting for they were waiting for their response to the RFP to come in, so they didn't know where they were gonna be at money-wise.
Maybe I was dreaming. I thought I saw it though.
They're figuring around 120,000.
Yeah, I know, but my recollection when we did it before, and I was selecting back then as well, was our cost was somewhere in the range of $20,000.
Well, they're saying 120,000
Total.
for the year total for all the towns.
Right,
She has commitments, definite commitments from 13 to 15 towns at this point, but
Right.
the deadline hasn't met yet.
but each town isn't gonna have a
percent.
Sturkey's amount.
No,
So it's gonna be a percentage.
I suspect that it's gonna be somewhere in the neighborhood of what our exposure was in the past.
Yeah,
And,
well, she said 100,000.
She said a percentage of, they're gonna decide by our equalization.
right,
And,
Right.
and how much, like, say, we may have to pitch in 10% of whatever. It depends on how many towns there are and what our values are.
right.
Oh, well, if we had to put in 10%, we're still under 20,000.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. So,
Did we already vote to join?
we did not, but I'll entertain a motion to,
I'm gonna make a motion that the town of Tuftonboro join the coalition of communities who are in opposition of returning to a donor town status.
and I'll second that. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? All right, so there's a document that needs one signature in here someplace.
And it's just an MOA though, isn't it?
Yep,
So it's just one signature,
yep, it is.
so.
So we'll get that, get my name on it, I'll sign it, we'll get it off to him this week, that's good. Well, you've been a busy boy.
Yeah, I don't have any life. I'm thinking about taking up a hobby. How about you?
So planning board met on Thursday, and we had 2 lot mergers that we approved. And we had an initial report from the master plan steering committee, who had met the previous day with the consultant. Things that they're gonna be doing. The consultant is sort of doing this stuff, looking for community input, looking to, say, put questions, one question at a time up on the town website to get people to respond, places to post around town that people can provide input. As we start to gather that input, then we'll be able to use that to help determine some of the areas that we need to do more work in than others. We have a body of update work that was done 4 or 5 years ago when we started the process, and that's not going to be thrown out, but it's not going to be necessarily just carried forward as it is. I mean, there was work and effort that went into it, but just because it was represented what we did in 2016, doesn't mean that
Right.
if we're gonna do this thing in 2021, maybe the end of the year, maybe beginning of 2022, that it's completely accurate at that point. So, I think that's the only thing that I had, was, planning board. When we move along here to Kathy's updates, let's see. Did we talk about this last week, the Happy's letter again?
Yeah, and
That's the same.
I made a motion last week that I want to continue, but we'll wait until we have a full board.
Yep, okay, and I think that makes sense.
Well, our new letter came in, so that's why I was.
Yep,
Right.
yep. So, and again, I see it as if we're gonna do it as an opportunity, how do we get the level of service
Right,
where
right.
it will,
I have a survey that came from HEB. They hired a company
yep,
to send us survey, send the towns that have worked with them a survey, and they need someone to finish the survey. I didn't feel I was qualified because I don't know their history.
What survey are we talking about?
It's like on the computer, you have to answer
No,
questions.
no, back up a little bit.
this is for HEB, for projects they've done for us. They want feedback.
They want feedback on what we think of them, and I guess they have set, I didn't go
Oh, so
into the
this is
survey.
a
'Cause I didn't-
consumer survey?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, this is it.
Why don't you put that with our folder on Friday signature, or where they need it today?
It's on the computer.
Can we
It's-
print it?
No, you have to enter the survey and answer their questions.
Oh,
And
geez.
I'm afraid to enter it to see what it is in case you can't get out. You know what I mean?
Well,
Unless you complete it.
I'll be happy
Okay.
to do it. I mean, I think that when I think about the projects they've done for us recently, they've all been since I've been on the board, so.
Okay, great.
And they've been working for us forever. 'Cause
Yep.
I remember doing projects with them back in the early.
But I don't know how specific the questions are or anything like that, so.
Well, it's like probably one of those survey monkey things that,
No, it's a third-party company that they hired,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
yep, so,
all right, so
Have
then
to
you'll
get
do
rid of
that.
the 7.
yeah. All right. So.
Tom Sawyer, I read that letter on the IT thing.
Oh, do you want me to run, that's not from Tom Sawyer.
Oh.
I wondered if you wanted me to run it by Tom Sawyer.
Website.
I don't know that it's an issue, is it?
It's not an issue, the gentleman is, I don't know what it is. I don't understand
So
what
it's-
he's talking about.
So this is somebody that wants to make sure that, or that wants people that post on town websites to be supporting New Hampshire businesses rather than,
Yeah, it's linking,
yeah,
so.
yeah.
Yeah, we have an IT company that we've hired, let's get a recommendation.
Yep,
Mhm.
I guess that would be the
Yep.
easiest thing.
Okay.
yep. Yep, okay, so,
And who,
and, yeah. So is Randy going, was he planning to come see us and express his displeasure, or?
He didn't say that. He
Okay.
wanted to call, originally it said from you, but
he's not a
He's-
resident of Tufton
Well,
Borough.
he owns property here. If he wants to come meet with us, that's fine.
Yeah, he can
And,
come in.
you know, but
And he's saying,
he's
this is
saying
what-
we're not complying with the law.
Yeah, when he starts saying that we don't comply with the law, he needs to come forward, or he has an attorney's call us.
so you want me to call him and tell him that he's more than welcome to meet with you other than that?
Yeah,
Come in.
yeah,
Because
we're happy
let's,
to,
if Selectman Marcuson calls him,
Right,
it's not gonna satisfy his needs, and I know, given past occurrences, that Selectman Marcuson is gonna dance very lightly around any sort of decision-making,
Mhm.
because we've had trouble with that, not this board, but other
Right.
boards.
Right.
what the name
So it's not gonna satisfy him, he needs to come before the whole board, he had his grievance and.
So,
Okay,
Yeah.
I will let him know that.
Was it, did it have like a?
And then the other one is just a reminder that you have to think about what you're gonna do with the betterment RFP.
yeah,
It was like, it was like spectrum dash.
Well, huh?
The betterment part,
Better,
what you're gonna do and how you're gonna do it.
yeah. So I thought we were set on that.
I did too.
And I was reminded that the last time we did a betterment on roads, that after it was passed by town meeting, that the board gathered with the people that were affected and decided on the term of repayment.
Right.
Okay,
So,
There isn't gonna be any repayment in 2021,
no,
right,
but there will be in 2022.
right.
So we're gonna have the opportunity to do the calculation.
Okay.
And I wanted the, and I know this might be too much to ask our assessor, but I wanted to know what sort of tax increases these people are gonna realize because they're now on a class 5 road.
he gave us some information on that a year ago, I think, or so.
Was it?
I can touch base
It's
with
a
him.
modest adjustment.
Yeah, but it, adds up over
Right.
time.
Right,
I mean,
it's not
I think
crazy.
it may determine whether or not we do a 5-year payback or a 10-year payback.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I was,
Yep.
it's not gonna change the amount.
So, and it looks like we do need to have a short non-public. A couple of items here.
What are these guys doing?
Hi,
Sorry to be a pain.
okay,
Is it okay if I look at your computer to see what the Wi-Fi name used to be?
there we
It'll
go.
make my life easier than reprogramming everything.
And the non-public is for what? Bill on.
Oh, got a couple of legal things here.
Okay,
Look at, make sure we're,
all right.
all right. Do we have any other business? Have I missed anything, Kathy?
Not that I'm aware
All right.
Public
of.
input.
So, any public input?
None over here.
No more input from you?
Well, today it's Washington's birthday this week, is that what you said?
Today is George Washington's birthday.
Well, if I
Yes.
give you public input, do you give me a free car?
Give you a what?
A free car,
A free car?
yeah.
Yeah,
that
no
was
problem.
last week. That was
No
last
problem.
week.
What's his name up on Mountain Road has a bunch of junkers sitting out by the side. We'd be happy to get rid of some of those.
That's all I have.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion to go into non-public for legal.
I'll second.
Marcus, and yes.
All the yes.
Folks, thank you very much for
Okay.